Hey there, it's Elisa from AK Educational Consulting, and I wanted to introduce to you a new series that I'm going to do here on my YouTube channel that's going to take you through the 8 steps to building a trauma-informed school. So I'm going to break it down, and I'll record one video for each of these 8 steps, but I wanted to just start off kind of introducing this idea and what you're going to learn and what each of these 8 steps are. So you can see they're laid out right here on my screen. And so in the first video, we're going to really start off talking about what does it mean to educate all of our staff members? Who is included in that? What do we need to educate them on? And then each subsequent video will hit on each of these steps 2 through 8. So we'll talk about discipline and classroom management and what that looks like in a trauma-informed environment versus what a lot of our schools currently do. Then we'll move into social emotional learning and how do we build those skills in our students. And when we talk about this, we're not talking about adding a 30-minute special area or special class to an already jam-packed day. Like nobody has time for that, right? So how do we integrate those SEL skills into what we're already doing? And what are those SEL skills? How does that fit into what curriculums you're using and what your teachers are doing? Then we'll talk about building relationships with students and how that's really the foundation of everything that we do to build a trauma-informed school. We'll move into promoting play. What does that mean to have opportunities for our kids to play at all various grade levels? And when I say play, I don't just mean, turn your kindergarten classes into play-based learning classes. Again, we're going to make it fit into what your school is already doing, but also we'll be talking about that at every grade level. What does that look like all the way from preschool up through our high school age students? Because even though I know the word play has a very childlike connotation, even as adults, we need to find time for play, right? And then the last few videos, we will really dive into how do we get our families and our community on board with this culture change we're making, and why is that important? Why do we need them to be on board? All right, in our last 2 videos, sorry, I just went away for a minute. I'm not really sure why, but I'm back. The last 2 videos then will focus on taking care of our teachers. How do we support them in terms of secondary trauma and self-care? And again, when I say self-care, I don't just mean, everybody needs to go home and take bubble baths and get massages. That's not what we're talking about. Self-care or collaborative care has really become sort of the buzzword around this lately. How do we care for the staff in our building so that the toxic stress isn't getting to the point where they need to leave this profession? Because that's the point that a lot of our educators are at. So how do we care for the adults in our building also? And then the very last step is really trying to figure out how do we collect data on what we're doing, and then what do we do to analyze that and see if the practices, the strategies, the changes that we're making are really making a difference for our students and for our staff and families. So that's sort of like a very high level, just kind of view into what these 8 steps are. And then each video, we're going to go much more in depth with each of these so you can really get some great takeaways for your work environment, your school, so that hopefully you can get, started on making a culture change in your building. So I hope that you will join me as we dive into each of these, and I will see you back here next time for video number 1. Take care.